After many failed attempts, I finally was able to collect these videos of hummingbirds in my parents' backyard. I had tried to record them in Mesa, but they all kind of abandoned me and forced me to visit my parents so I could catch these videos. The species I saw was a species known as Anna's hummingbird, and it's the most common in the United States, although I might have seen some other species here. I couldn't get too good of a look at them. The behavior you're observing is a defense behavior, and it's known as feeding glances. What you're watching is all the clips I could attain from one afternoon outside recording these hummingbirds, and I would try to start the video as soon as they got to the feeder and record them for the duration of which they stayed to feed. What we observe is the hummingbird will come in to feed. Normally will stay hovering and not land, and this will allow it to freely move around so it can always be checking the area around it for predators or whatever things may be sneaking up on it, like me. We'll start with approximate analysis of the mechanism and development. Altshuler and Dudley showed in their studies that mechanically the wing motion is not the only aspect of this. There's also wind speeds using surface area of the wing and its own weight as it's in migration and foraging, which will increase its weight dramatically. To obtain the nutrition for their intense flight patterns and hovering ability, they turn to floral nectar, which is a potent and abundant source of food. To obtain the nectar, they need to hover delicately and close to the flower as to not damage it or themselves, but close enough so that they can drink up the nectar. As Altshuler and Dudley also noted, that this ability to hover becomes instrumental to their survivability and also becomes a vulnerability to predators that could be coming in from behind while they are hovering. The main effort in this behavior is to evade predators. By inhibiting their intake of nectar, they can move themselves into a better observation position to view incoming predators, much like a prairie dog pauses its efforts to survey the area for predators. Moving on to an evolutionary point of view, Stephen Lima at the University of Arizona studied this behavior closer and found that even though they relatively lack predation nowadays, they do not lack the risk of an attack. And he also found that this behavior dissipates if the food source is closer to the ground. So if the flower is near the ground and away from other birds, they are less likely to show this behavior. A study from Stony Brook University showed that hummingbirds all have a common small size stemming from their ancestors. And this supports that when presented with a predator, the most agile and alert hummingbirds would be favored. During this observational assignment and watching these videos playback, I can't help to think of the two lectures from the class. Obviously, the most recent lecture 18 directly discussing anti-predator behavior and feeding glances, but also lecture 10, when the prairie dog example was used for group behavior showing vigilance against predation. Hummingbirds are very independent outside of mating, that I observed, but it seems if they adopted a similar group behavior, they could all benefit, especially with their communication skills as an avian species. Thank you all for watching, and if you like this video, make sure to check out the sources I cited in the info section, and feel free to leave any comments with any feedback. Thanks a lot.